let me get from the larger perspective. It's fluid dynamics primarily. I work mostly in problems where there are waves and how flows become unstable, how they go turbulent. My training, most of my PhD training was in aerodynamics. Can I explain it? Well, now you're asking one of the most subtle kinds of and very difficult questions, is how does a fly or a bee or something like that create its own lift? What it has to do is actually change the angle of attack of its wings when it's flapping forward and backward, such that you don't get negative lift canceling positive lift. When in a certain stroke, the wing on the little fly will create a huge vortex on top of the wing, which will give very low pressure, will give us lift, and then it will change its angle and let the vorticity go away from it, and then it will bring it back again and create another big vortex. It's a complicated flow problem. It's much more complicated than regular aerodynamics of an airplane. And right now, that is a very active area of research because of the desire to create very small flying things that can go into, different regions and explore and so on. In fact, there is a company, AeroEnvironment, that has actually built a hummingbird. I've seen the hummingbird. It's classified. They wouldn't show it flying, but I've seen the actual bird that will fly, and the size of it is really amazing. And this is really a tremendous advance. But that could only have been done after years of really understanding aerodynamics. Whenever you get into aerodynamics that's very unsteady, time varying, and especially when you get to small scales, the large wings are much easier to model mathematically, aerodynamically, and understand than small ones. Small ones are very difficult to understand. Some of these little creatures, tiny ones, actually they have to have their wing has to be really lightweight, and they actually have little pores in them, but the size of those pores are so small that viscosity doesn't let air go through, so they don't have a solid wing, but yet they can create lift. It's really remarkable what we're finding out about these things. Well, scaling it up, to get the size for human flight like that, that's going to be difficult because of the torques you need to move that wing back and forth. It needs to be extremely lightweight, like a bat's wing. Right now they're actually studying bat wings. They're actually putting little sensors all on little bat wings and then watch them fly in a wind tunnel and get the motion of the actual wing as they spread it out. But those little membranes are extremely thin and light. But for a human to do that, the size of the human puts it in the weight, puts it in a regime where that's probably, well, I'm not going to say it can't happen, but it's really complex. It's very difficult. You have a tiny little wing, and of course it takes energy, and how these little creatures can generate the energy need to fly, but yet it is really thin membrane, very lightweight, very light structures. We can't build structures like some of these hollow bones in birds and so on that have the strength, and then using feathers that actually flex in order to give you the right trailing edge and the vorticity point. So for humans to actually build their own flapping wing, say, that's hard. So when I saw that little video, you scratch your head and say, yeah, really? Okay. It turned out to be, no, not really. Anyway, I'm not saying it can't happen, but there's a lot of advances that have to come. There's really something different, because something from the size of a human or, a little hang glider down to a bird, that transitioning between that is really going to be difficult to ever happen.